please shoot the thing. Oh my god. To fight the true final boss of Kirby's Dream Land 2, you must collect one rainbow drop hidden in each respective world. Most of them are conveniently placed and simply require the correct copy ability or animal body to obtain. However, Dream Land 2 still suffers from a bit of that classic old game jank, with Droplet 6-2 being such an absurdly obscure collectible that it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if most children never saw the true ending back then and had to find out the existence of characters such as 02 years later through a random YouTube video, like me in 2010. Just taking a peep into the wiki tells you something is wrong about this one. Ironically, Kirby games aren't even known for their puzzles. Most of the time when you enter a puzzle room in a modern Kirby game, it takes less than a second to figure out what to do. You either enter the room with the correct copy ability already, or the game gives you exactly what you need. Technically, the same applies to Dream Land 2 as well, since it's immediately clear that you need the cutter ability. So why is this possibly the worst and best Kirby secret in the entire series? Because it requires a carefully planned sequence of steps that makes more sense if we are going through the level backwards. To reach the rainbow drop, you need Cutter. To obtain Cutter, you first need Ku. To find Ku, you need Spark and Rick. To get Rick, you must have already found Spark. And to obtain Spark, you need Kain, who doesn't appear in the level at all. Many Kirby puzzles can be explained in a single sentence. This one requires a flowchart. Consequently, it raises an obvious question. If you need Ku and Cutter anyway, why not simply enter level 6-2 with that combination and breeze through the puzzle? Because the very first obstacle immediately leads to a dead end. At the end of the opening room, a set of frozen blocks must be destroyed with the ice ability. But here's the funny part. Ku can't properly break them. When combined with ice, Kirby gains a downward attack that doesn't reach the blocks in the right way. This is also why the entrance to the room is so strangely designed, as it specifically prevents Ku from entering. And you can't simply dismount, destroy the blocks and continue as normal either. To leave an animal body behind, Kirby first has to discard his current ability, meaning you would lose Cutter in the process. More importantly, it demonstrates that this puzzle isn't the result of some random oversight the developers failed to notice, and instead a meticulously crafted sequence of restrictions designed to force the player into thinking through every step. Here's how it's done. To free Ku, you first need to destroy a set of electric blocks and defeat the cannon enemies behind them. The problem is that this requires the Spark ability, which can only be obtained from a mini-boss hidden elsewhere in the stage. Reaching that mini-boss is a puzzle in itself. You must bring Kain from another level, use him to destroy the frozen blocks blocking your path, climb to the top of the room, drop down into an optional area, and swim against a strong current that regular Kirby cannot overcome. Only then can you reach the mini-boss and obtain Spark. But you're still not done. Afterward, you need to re-enter the door, swim to the right, defeat another mini-boss, leave it be, and recruit Rick. Rick is essential because his version of Spark allows him to defeat the cannon enemies in a way regular Kirby cannot. Once they are gone, you can finally free Ku, fly against the wind to the next room, defeat yet another mini-boss, obtain Cutter, and ultimately claim the rainbow drop. This secret feels like a game of telephone, where the message gets progressively wrong the longer it's passed along. None of these individual steps are problematic on their own, though they do require some trial and error before the intended chain of logic becomes apparent. The only aspect I would consider genuinely unfair is the expectation that players realize not every solution is contained within the level itself. Kain is required to solve the puzzle, yet never appears anywhere in the stage. Aside from that, I think this is an incredibly satisfying secret. Each step naturally builds on the previous one, and I especially appreciate how the puzzle takes advantage of both the animal bodies and the level layout. Animal bodies don't just alter the properties of copy abilities, they often change the direction and functionality of their attacks entirely. Rick's version of Spark behaves like a beam and serves as the only practical way to destroy the electric blocks blocking your progress. The level design reinforces this idea as well. Rooms that seem completely trivial with regular Kirby suddenly become meaningful obstacles when approached with a different animal body. The section with the air pipes feels almost superfluous under normal circumstances, but reveals its true purpose once you arrive with Kain, who lacks Kirby's freedom of movement in the air. If anything, there are even more strange secrets elsewhere in the same game. For Rainbow Drop 7-7, unless you bring both the correct animal body and copy ability from another level, the puzzle effectively dissolves into trial and error exercise of repeatedly guessing the correct door. Or Rainbow Drop 4-4, where you have to awkwardly drop your fire ability while riding Kain underwater. Quickly inhale and exhale a block, reclaim fire before it disappears, and then repeat the entire process because Kain still doesn't fit through the opening. You can certainly view this as a challenge on its own right, but it feels incredibly unnatural to perform, and isn't a technique the game has ever asked of the player before. Just by looking at this, you get the impression someone is failing at the speedrun trick.
Man, this isn't going well.
During a first playthrough, you have no way of knowing that you will need to keep the fire ability. Most players will discard it, enter the room, and only then discover that fire is required to proceed. What makes this significantly worse than Rainbow Drop 6-2 is the punishment for failure. If you make the wrong decision, you are forced to replay a slow, auto-scrolling section just to get back to the point where the puzzle begins. By the end of the sequence, you will need some kind of other drop for yourself just to recover. And none of those secrets are mind-boggling hard once you know their solution, but the main frustration comes from losing a copy ability or animal body and starting the entire process over again. This is why I highly recommend using the save state feature if you're playing Dreamland 2 through Nintendo Switch Online. It removes most of the frustration and allows the puzzles to focus on the deductive process, especially in 6-2's case. Don't worry, I will gladly take responsibility for all the fake gamer allegations that come from recommending save states. However, it's important to view these puzzles through the lens of the era in which they were designed. Back then, save states didn't exist, and many of the apparent flaws may have been deliberate attempts to artificially extend the game's lifespan. Dreamland 2 is longer than the original Dreamland, but it's by no means a lengthy game. Designing sequence around trial and error or building tricky moments that waste your time were justifiable ways to add replay value for children who effectively had unlimited free time. It's the same archaic style that gave many classic games their longevity by making them brutally difficult. Kirby couldn't really rely on that approach due to the series' beginner-friendly nature and ultimately settled on translating this design philosophy into Dreamland 2's puzzles. The following mainline titles should continue to mirror Dreamland 2's mandatory collectibles for the true ending, albeit in their own dubious way. Dreamland 3 requires to help NPCs at the end of each level, while Kirby 64 hides crystals behind copy abilities coded obstacles. You're also not wandering through a whole world wondering in which level the necessary rainbow drop is hidden, since Dreamland 3 and the crystal shards are much more transparent about missed collectibles. Dreamland 3 even gives you an audible clue each time you enter an NPC-related room. With a few exceptions, none of those secrets are remarkably complicated, but often require knowledge you cannot have when playing through a level for the first time. Those kind of puzzles feel less rewarding to solve, which is why I always appreciated Dreamland 2's 6-2 Rainbow Drop to make me actually think about the solution. Huh?